Welcome to Quick Speak, the English podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Today we will discuss a change happening with how people use social media. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Ah, yes, a very familiar topic for many.
We will talk about why many people are now sharing fewer personal things publicly on these platforms.
It's interesting, isn't it? Social media was, well, very popular for sharing almost everything about your life.
Exactly. But now it seems many people are just looking at what others post and not posting their own updates so much.
Just sort of consuming rather than creating.
Our goal today is to understand the main reasons for this change and what it means for how we connect with each other online.
And we'll aim to keep things clear and straightforward using simple English.
Yes, to help you understand this interesting topic, let's begin by looking at why people are choosing to post less often on social media.
Okay. Well, one big reason seems to be something called user fatigue.
User fatigue. What does that mean in this situation?
It means that, well, many people feel tired or maybe overwhelmed by seeing just so much content online.
Right. Like when you scroll through your feed,
Yeah.
there's always something new. Endless posts, pictures, videos.
Exactly. It can feel like too much information all the time. Information overload, you could say.
And it's not just the amount of content, is it? It's also sometimes about the quality.
That's a very important point. Sometimes the things you see on social media are not very good.
Like what specifically?
Well, for example, there can be wrong information, sometimes called fake news, or lots of negative comments and arguments.
And of course, so many advertisements everywhere, it feels like they're constantly trying to sell you something.
Seeing all these things can make social media feel less fun, maybe less real than it used to.
It feels less like a place to happily share your own life, perhaps. More like a noisy, sometimes unpleasant place.
Precisely. And when you feel tired from seeing all this, low quality or negative content, you might not want to add your own personal thoughts or pictures to that space.
It makes you feel less interested in posting yourself, I imagine.
Yes, that feeling of being tired from the content is connected to another reason people post less. They're becoming more, well, passive consumers of social media.
Passive consumers. What does that mean exactly?
It means that people still spend a lot of time on social media every day. Billions of people around the world log in.
Okay, so they're still using it.
Yes, but their main activity is not creating new posts. Instead, they prefer to just watch or read what other people have posted.
So they're consuming content, not really creating it themselves.
Exactly. There's some interesting information about this. One study found that a large number of adults, I think it was around 61% in the US, are choosing to post less often than they used to.
Wow, that's more than half. So why? Why are they choosing to post less and just watch more?
Well, there are several reasons. As we mentioned, the environment can feel tiring or negative. That's one part.
Okay.
Also, people worry more about their privacy now.
Right.
They think about who might see their posts and what they might do with that information.
That's a big concern, definitely. Privacy online.
And they also worry about getting negative reactions from others. If they post something, someone might criticize it or disagree in a nasty way.
Right. That fear of judgment or argument.
Because of these worries, it just feels safer and easier to look at what others are doing instead of putting their own life out there for everyone to see and potentially judge.
Being a passive viewer requires less effort and maybe feels like less risk.
Exactly. Less risk involved.
Another important reason for this change, I think, comes from how the social media platforms themselves work.
Yes, the platforms themselves. How they operate has changed.
Especially the systems they use to decide what posts you see. These systems are called algorithms, right?
That's right. An algorithm is like a set of rules or instructions that a computer follows. Social media algorithms decide which posts appear in your feed and in what order.
And the way these algorithms work has changed over time.
Yes, significantly. In the past, your feed might have shown you posts from your friends, mostly in the order they were posted, chronologically.
I remember that. It felt simpler.
It did. But now, the algorithms often prioritize showing you content from businesses or from people who are very popular online, sometimes called influencers, or perhaps only from your very close friends and family.
Okay, so what does this mean for a regular person? Someone who just wants to post, say, a photo from their day or a thought they have?
Well, it means that when a normal user posts something, the platform's algorithm is less likely to show that post to many people.
Unless you pay money to boost your post, maybe.
Exactly. Unless you pay, it might only be seen by a really small number of your followers.
So you spend time thinking about what to post, maybe writing something, choosing a picture.
And then the algorithm doesn't show it widely. Fewer people see it, fewer people react to it with likes or comments.
That must be discouraging. It can make regular users feel that posting is just not worth the effort.
It really can. If your post doesn't get seen or noticed much, why bother sharing it in the first place? The reward for posting feels much lower now for many users.
And adding to this problem, there's just so much competition on social media, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. The sheer amount of content is staggering.
Every single day, millions and millions of pieces of content are posted on these platforms. Pictures, videos, articles.
It's hard to even imagine the scale globally. Think about how much is shared every single hour. It's an enormous amount of information.
So because there's so much content, a single post from a regular person can just easily get lost.
Like a drop in the ocean, really. Your post quickly gets pushed down the feed by all the new things being posted by everyone else.
So not only are the platform's algorithms maybe less likely to show your post widely,
But even if they did, there's simply too much other content competing for attention. Your post gets buried very quickly.
which also makes posting feel less rewarding, I suppose. It's hard to get noticed or get people to engage when there's so much else happening.
Definitely less rewarding for the average user.
We talked a bit about privacy and negative reactions earlier, and these seem connected to a growing worry about privacy and social pressure.
Yes, they are very much linked. People have learned more about how public social media can actually be.
You mean when you post something, it might not just be seen by your closest friends.
Exactly. It can potentially be seen by many people, even people you don't know well or people you met once years ago, maybe even your boss or a future employer.
That's a scary thought for some people.
It is. Because posts can be shared, saved, or seen by unexpected people, users have become more careful, more cautious about sharing private information or personal thoughts online.
They realize something they post today could be seen and maybe affect them years from now.
That increased awareness of how public these platforms are definitely makes people more cautious about what they share.
And besides the privacy worries, there's also this social pressure aspect.
Ah, yes, the pressure to appear perfect.
Yeah. There's often a feeling, isn't there, that you need to post things that look perfect or very good. People share the highlights of their lives, the best pictures, the most exciting moments.
Which isn't really real life most of the time. This pressure to present a perfect version of yourself makes social media feel less real.
It can feel like you're performing for an audience, maybe, not just talking with friends.
And that pressure makes some people not want to share their normal everyday lives because it doesn't feel good enough compared to the perfect images they see from others.
They might just feel tired of trying to present that perfect image, so they stop posting altogether.
That's certainly a factor for some.
So if people are posting less publicly, where are they sharing their lives and thoughts? Are they just not sharing anymore?
Well, this leads us to another big change. Many people are moving to more private online spaces.
Private spaces. Like what?
Instead of posting updates for everyone to see on their main profile or feed, people are now using more controlled and private environments to communicate.
Okay, can you give some examples?
Sure, things like direct messages, talking one-on-one with a friend, or using small group chats with just a few people you know well.
Like WhatsApp groups or something similar.
Exactly. And platforms also have features like close friends lists on Instagram. That allows you to share stories or posts with only a select group of trusted people, not all your followers.
I see. So more controlled sharing.
Yes. These private spaces feel safer and less judging. You know exactly who you are talking to, and you might feel more comfortable sharing personal things, real feelings, or everyday moments without the pressure of a large public audience.
It sounds more like having a private conversation with friends rather than, say, giving a speech in a public square.
That's a good analogy. It feels more intimate, perhaps more like how we used to interact before maybe sharing everything so widely online.
This shift to private spaces seems connected to some deeper cultural and emotional changes in how people feel about social media.
I think so too. One change seems to be a growing desire for more, well, real connections.
Can you elaborate on that? When social media first became popular, didn't it promise to help people connect?
It did. It felt personal, a new way to connect with friends and family.
But over time, as we discussed, the platforms changed. They became more about businesses trying to sell things.
Or people trying to become popular like influencers, or people trying to present that perfect, maybe unreal image of themselves.
And this made the platforms feel less personal somehow, less focused on true connection.
For many users, yes. They now feel they want something more genuine, more authentic, and more personal from their online interactions.
They're looking for deeper connections with people they truly care about.
And they're finding that these connections often happen better in smaller private groups where they feel more comfortable being themselves instead of on the big public feeds.
That makes sense. Another emotional change we touched on is the fear of negative reactions.
Yes, that fear can be a powerful barrier. We mentioned privacy and pressure, but it's also an emotional thing.
People are afraid that something they post might be misunderstood, perhaps, or lead to public criticism or mean comments.
Exactly. And that fear can be strong enough to simply stop someone from sharing their thoughts or experiences altogether.
I can see that, especially with difficult topics.
Think about discussing difficult or sensitive topics, like politics or social issues, on public social media. These conversations can quickly become very negative, with people arguing angrily.
That kind of unpleasant experience makes many people afraid to share their opinions or thoughts openly because they just don't want to face that negativity or conflict.
The emotional cost of posting can feel too high sometimes.
And finally, maybe for some users, a reason they post less is simply getting bored with social media.
That's definitely another piece of the puzzle, boredom.
When social media was new, it felt exciting, didn't it? Connecting with people, seeing what everyone was doing, sharing your own life.
It did have that novelty, but as the platforms changed, becoming more focused on businesses and less perhaps on personal sharing, some of that newness and excitement has gone away for some users.
So for these users, social media is just not as interesting or fun as it used to be.
It seems so. The original purpose, connecting personally and sharing life, seems less important on the main feeds now. And when it's not fun or exciting anymore, the motivation to spend time creating posts naturally decreases.
So putting all these reasons together, the fatigue, the privacy concerns, the algorithms, the competition, the desire for real connection, fear of negativity, boredom, what does the new social media landscape look like?
Well, the big picture shows a clear shift away from public posting by regular people. That seems to be the major trend.
So instead of sharing widely with everyone they're connected to.
Many people are sharing more in private groups, direct messages, or with limited lists of close friends.
Okay, so who is posting publicly then, if regular people are doing it less?
It seems creating content for the wide-open public feeds is increasingly done by people who are popular online, like influencers who might make a living by posting.
And by businesses and brands who use social media for marketing and advertising.
Exactly. So the average person often isn't sharing their daily life publicly on the main feed like they might have used to.
They're choosing to share these personal moments and thoughts in smaller, more private digital spaces. It's a move towards more personal and private forms of communication online.
That's a good summary of the shift.
Does this shift have potential upsides and downsides? Good points and bad points.
Like most changes, it probably has both.
What might be a possible good point?
Well, one possible positive is that this move to private sharing might help people have more real and perhaps healthier conversations.
Oh, so?
When you're talking with a small group of trusted friends, you might feel more comfortable being yourself and sharing honestly. This could lead to stronger relationships and more authentic interactions online.
Okay, that sounds positive. What about a possible negative point?
A potential downside is that if people are only sharing and talking within small, private groups of people who think very similarly to them.
They might see fewer different ideas or perspectives.
Exactly. This is sometimes called being in an echo chamber, where you only hear ideas that agree with your own, like your own voice echoing back to you.
So if people stop sharing diverse ideas in public spaces, it could mean that the public conversation becomes less interesting, maybe less open to different viewpoints?
That's the concern, yes. A potential narrowing of the public discourse.
So it really seems the time when everyone shared almost everything publicly on social media is changing.
It certainly looks that way.
People are feeling tired from too much content, worrying more about privacy and negative reactions, finding that the platform systems make it harder for their posts to be seen.
And looking for more real connections.
And as a result, they're choosing to share more in private places.
There's a quote that sums this up quite well, I think. It says, "After a decade of airing our most intimate moments in public, the pendulum is shifting back. People are more selective with their communities and are reverting back to an old-school way of interacting."
That's very insightful. Selective communities, old school interacting, like smaller groups, more private conversations.
Exactly. More deliberate, perhaps.
This whole change makes you think about how you use social media yourself, doesn't it?
It does. Do you post less than before? Do you use private chats or groups more often?
It shows that how we use technology is always changing, really, based on how we feel and what we want from our connections with others.
It's a constantly evolving landscape.
If you enjoyed understanding this topic today and want to continue improving your English listening and comprehension skills, we encourage you to subscribe to Quick Speak so you don't miss future discussions.
Yes, subscribing is a great way to stay updated.
You can also find more helpful materials to help you learn English, like new words and exercises based on this episode on the website mentioned in the description.
Those resources can be very useful for practice.
Thank you for joining us for this discussion. We hope it was helpful for your English learning journey.